Well, aloha and happy Aloha Friday to everyone.
Wow. Hey,
Yes, so
happy Friday.
I'm gonna do a little intro for our guest today. So he was born and raised in a small farming town in Iowa by a single mom. Came to Hawaii when he finished high school and attended Chaminade University. I also attended Chaminade. Great choice.
Awesome.
Yep. So he got into business 4 years ago when he realized he needed a career change with friends who were selling the same products. And he started to research the CBD and experience its positive effects. Now he has 4 locations on Oahu with over 6,000 regular customers. Please welcome our guest, David Houlihan. Wow, that's quite
Wonderful.
the journey and the story.
It was quite a journey. Well, I'm kind of old too, so that there's time for a long journey there.
Well, let's start with this positive effects that you personally experience. I'd like to get your personal journey with the CBD. I think that's
Yes.
the most impactful for our viewers.
Yeah. So I didn't have a lot of understanding other than it had an affiliation with, the marijuana plant in the beginning. But I knew that this hemp plant, which is where the CBD comes from, was getting positive results. And in 2018, it became federally legal. So the industry itself just exponentially just blew up, into the billions rather rapidly. And the projections are that it will continue to do so as time goes on. The effects are, mainly people get from CBD. They get relief from trouble sleeping,
Mm-hmm.
stress, and also pain. And so there's a lot of options, obviously, for sleep, pain, and stress. But when someone uses CBD for them, it's not a prescription, so there's no bad side effects. It's FDA approved legally, ultimately because you can't overdose on it and you can't become addicted to it.
So
So
can you
for
give this to like children? So for example, I have some ADHD children that have a hard time getting to sleep. So sometimes I give them melatonin, and their doctor said that that was okay. What is CBD safe for for kids who have trouble kind of calming down and getting to bed?
Yeah, I would say it's even safer than what a prescription could be if you could find the right product itself to address the challenges that a parent has.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Having worked in the store, you know, you know, many days, many parents come in looking for something for their children. Oftentimes, they have the children with them, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and so their challenges are pretty apparent, and they just don't feel good about giving something that's a prescription. And if anyone notices the side effects, when it's in your child, it's bad enough when you have your own side effects from prescription, but when it's in your child, it hits you even harder. So there's many things that they can put in a drink and drink it, or eat one gummy, and they get great relief from ADHD, uh, just hyperactivity, no attention span. The CBD just reacts within the receptors in their body, and it just calms them down so they can lead a more normal life, and be in their normal surroundings.
Well, that's definitely a great alternative. I know that as as a parent of children that have the ADHD, I was very cautious about giving them, these stimulants that are supposed to, reverse the effects of the ADHD. So I'm excited to hear that the CBD could do the same thing, but naturally.
Yeah, and the main thing to keep in mind is you can't hurt them, right? They
Mm-hmm.
can't take too much, and then all of a sudden there's this wild side effect. That's what the attraction is that there are no side effects, and that just that balancing within the receptors in their body. I've had, just to give you one example, I've got a wonderful customer, and she's got a 12-year-old son, and he wants a certain strength of the tincture oil goes under your tongue. You hold it for about 90 seconds, then swallow, kicks in about an hour, right? And he only wants one flavor.
Uh-huh.
has to be from us. It has to be that strength, and it has to be that flavor. These people live in Waipahu, and they drove. We were out of it at the IAEA store, and they drove clear over to Kaneohe to get it. And then, the young man had to read the label closely to make sure it was exactly. So it was an absolute blessing for that family. For example, there's many like that.
And Atilio has now joined us.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, David, do you have a location across from Zippy's in Kapahulu?
I do, right across the street. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what?
Coming up on 3 years.
I think I forgot what I was over there with the Nanding's Bakery, getting way too many of those sugary buttery rolls. I was working on my diabetes, and I was halfway through a dozen, and I remember you coming out of the store because I think we were just standing in the shade or something like that, and you came out and introduced me and said, "Hey, do y'all need any help?" And I thought it was super helpful and friendly of you to do that. So that was the location. What a weird coincidence, huh?
Yeah, Hawaii's a small place. It's I relearned that again and again.
Yeah.
Well,
So anyway, I mean,
comes from, being from that that small town in Iowa,
Yeah.
right? And you're taking that same kind of friendliness that is really appreciated here in Hawaii, and being able to grow your business the way that you have with the 4 locations, and then I'm sure there's probably more in the works.
Hopefully.
Yes, I think that attributes to that level of customer service that,
Yes.
you have.
so
And that's kind of SunMed's model. We have 600 stores total nationwide, and the model is to educate and become an assistant buyer for the customers, because virtually everybody and they've heard of CBD, they've heard good things about it. They just don't know much about it. They just need a little bit of assistance with the education part. This one's for sleep, this one's for pain, this one's for stress, this one kicks in an hour, this one kicks in 10 minutes. To just, encourage them and help them through the process. And that's how, the 6,000 regular customers, that's how many are in our rewards program.
Mm-hmm.
So we see exactly how many of them are consistent customers for us.
what would you say? What would you say is the number one personal health challenge that people are coming in to visit you regarding?
It's typically a combination of 2 of those 3: pain and sleep or pain and stress. But if there was one champion of those, it's probably stress.
Yeah.
All through COVID, I had one store in IAEA, and it was upstairs, and I stayed open the whole time. And I was just working there by myself, and
Yeah.
I could see I would hear the personal stories of the people coming in and their challenges and what they were facing, the uncertainty. And I felt lucky that I had a place to go to work every day, and
Yeah.
I felt really fortunate that I was helping so many of them just keep going.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that question. How do you do through the? I think COVID was a test of everyone's, stick-to-itiveness. How did you do through COVID again?
Yeah, I was essentially a one-man show, so
Yeah.
I actually gained a lot of grew my business pretty big during that time, because we had a lot of other CBD stores were closed.
Okay.
Like for one was in the mall at Pearl Ridge, and they were closed the whole time. And so I gained a lot of customers who just were looking for CBD. They came in. Our products are as good as any and better than most. We're the only USDA certified organic CBD company in the world. It just shows you're going to get the same quality every single time.
You have mind, body, sleep, rise, pet, and trim. I think you need to add teenagers.
The tinctures for teenagers.
For the parent with teenagers.
Yeah. No, you're probably right. They could use it at some point.
Yeah.
It's definitely a better alternative than what they often take. But along the same lines of helping out the children and the kids, I have a lot of people who come in and they're shopping for their parents.
Yeah.
These are people in their 40s and 50s, so they have parents in their 70s and 80s. I also have a lot of customers in their 70s and 80s. but sometimes the parent gets obstinate and it's hard to deal with, and they get anxious, and they get stuff that they put it right in their coffee, and they're able to drink it and just stay balanced. And it's good for everybody, and they feel good about it because they know they're only helping them. There's no downside to what they're doing, and it makes it feel good that their parent feels better.
And then what about for the pets? I like that you have a little tab for the pets. What kind of things do you have to help, your dogs and your cats be, more calm or better behaved? Or
Yeah, so they have the same cannabinoid system that we have. So when they get old, they get aches and pains like we do, and when they're younger or in between, they get excited and anxiety for a lot of times fireworks.
Yes.
We tend to sell out, like New Year's Eve, 4th of July. So it's just, the same thing, right? So it just depends on their weight. So for every 2 pounds, or 10 pounds rather, you're going to give them about 2 milligrams of CBD. So we have a lot of choices. We have a handful of treats that you can give them. Right? So once you determine how much you're going to give them, and again, you can never give the dog too much. You can't hurt them, right? And then do you want this treat or that treat, or even the tincture oil? A lot of people prefer, and they just put it right in their mouth and squeeze it in, and it just does the same thing for them. Just eases their stress. A lot of people have had a dog for 14, 15 years. They just got aches and pains, and they're just moving slower, and it just eases their time.
Yeah. A lot of people hear acronyms. I don't know if you guys have chatted about it, but what exactly does CBD stand for? For example, people don't realize that the word laser is not a word; it's an actual acronym. So, what does CBD stand for?
Cannabinoidal, right? So that's just the part of the hemp plant that is extracted, and then they process it into gummies or tincture oil or water soluble, or any number of the ways that you're able to ingest it.
And in case you ever asked this question on Jeopardy, laser stands for light amplification by the stimulated emission of radiation.
Good to know.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't get a lot of science people in there. They're more how much and what does it do for me?
Yeah.
So,
I think. Go ahead, Adrian.
So, David, maybe you could share some success stories. I mean, we can talk about what it does, but do you have any examples of some success stories that were either like for yourself or for your clientele that you can share with our viewers today?
Yes. So before I made the decision to get into it 100%, I had to try it out so that I was my own personal believer in what I was going to be, distributing to the public. And so my mother at the time was in a nursing home, and she had real degenerative spinal damage in her vertebrae and stuff. She had an operation that essentially she could walk barely, and it was sideways. And because she had a lot of leg pain from the operation. So I sent the topical cream to her, and it changed her life. And it, made her, didn't fix the problem inside of her body, the structural problem, but it released the inflammation that was caused from the structural problem. And nothing could have made me feel better than to help her out at that time. As far as in the store and working, I don't think I've ever done anything close to as rewarding as what I do now. We have a lot of retired 70s, 80s customers who have arthritis or bad knee or bad hip, and younger than that too, obviously. But I have I have a lot of compassion for the older group.
Yeah.
And they count on us. I mean, they're there at, we open at 10. They're there at 9:45 waiting for the person to get there because they're out of their topical. I countless people like that. A couple that stand out is that lady her husband had shingles, and the only thing that would stop the inflammation from the shingles, which I understand are quite painful, was our topical cream. And she was just she was in her 80s, and she was just under a lot of pressure to make her husband feel better.
Well, I think I'm going to come by and grab some from you because my mom, what she shared with me is that if you had chicken pox in the past, as an adult over 50, if you haven't gotten your shingles vaccine, that you are at risk for getting this very painful shingles outbreaks or whatever. So I'm going to see her like Sunday, Monday, and I want to bring her some of this stuff because she's been in pain. And she also encouraged me to get my vaccine as soon as they would allow me because she doesn't want anyone else to have that experience. So my sister got it in her eyeball and did not go blind. I don't know that a CBD oil would help her with that, but it can be very serious and cause blindness or hearing loss. And
I've been encouraged to get a vaccination myself because the downside is they're extreme.
Because they didn't have the chickenpox vaccine when we were kids, so it's in our systems.
Yeah.
I mean, next generation doesn't have to worry. But I'm glad that you have this solution that is helpful for, relieving some of this extreme pain.
And people are thinking right now, again, name those locations you've got here on Oahu.
Yep. So our store is in Aiea in the Waimalu Shopping Center. It's right across from Best Buy in Aiea on Cam Highway. We have one on Kapahulu right across from Nanding's Bakery and Zippy's, corner of Kapahulu and Campbell. And one right on Cam Highway in Kaneohe. It's right across from Fresh Catch on Cam Highway. And I have my newest store is in Kalihi at the City Square Mall.
Yeah,
there by Young's Fish Market.
Now, we know we have a lot of our population comes and goes. We have a lot of military people. They get they get their, they have to go to other duty stations. PCS is the word I'm looking for, another acronym. But anyway, so I noticed you're a franchise. So people that get really dedicated to your product don't have to, when they go and travel or move, you can get the same quality.
Absolutely. You can always order it online too, but there's more than likely in any populated place, there'll be one of our locations.
Yes.
So we get a lot of people who are here on vacation that are, they only shop at your CBD stores or they're military.
Yeah.
And half of our products contain 0 THC. Some of them have the legal amount, the 0.3, no psychoactive effect or anything like that, just another part helping with the pain or trouble sleeping or stress. But a third of those 6,000 are military or federal employees, policemen, because we have a lot, they trust our products that have 0 THC, because they can't have that given the nature
of drug testing.
And that's super important to mention because
it is. They still have trouble sleeping and they have stress and they have pain and what have you. So, or someone who works at a warehouse and drives a forklift, they can't go anywhere near anything, even though it wouldn't affect them in this sense. They have to follow their own rules.
So, on that note, with the THC, what is like the benefit of having the THC versus not having it? Like, what's the difference?
So the THC, it's 0.3%. So it's 0.3% because if you go over 0.3%, that's when the psychoactive part kicks in, rather than just the relief from stress or trouble sleeping. So ultimately, specifically, it's just another compound adding to the other cannabinoids in that product to help with pain or stress or sleep. So unless you were military or you got tested at your job, there would be no reason not to have with the THC full spectrum. Yeah.
Got it.
All of our older clients, that's the only thing that they use.
Nice. Because they got stressed too and probably at a higher level, and we want to have some solutions for them. Yeah.
Yeah. At some point, you get to a point where you got a bad knee or a bad shoulder or ongoing stress, and you're not going to have surgery for it, or there's no penicillin that's going to cure my bad knee. I just have to learn how to live with it, and not something that's prescription, but still give me the relief I need.
I'm going to come by and get some stuff for my bad knee. I think I have a tear of some of my ligaments in there.
We have free samples for everything, so you can always get a bunch and try them out and see how you feel about them.
Yeah, we were late for a flight, and she was doing an O.J. Simpson through the airport over luggage and stuff. And no, it was over hurdles and an obstacle course for fitness competition. But
awesome.
So yeah, so we like to have these about the length of a TED Talk, and that's about where we're at. Any questions or anything else that you wanted to share with our viewers that we haven't already?
I think if you haven't tried CBD, it's good to go in and at least get some samples and get some free information and see if that might be a solution, an alternative or a supplement to whatever prescription somebody might be taking.
Yeah. I think too, my suggestion for everybody out there, there's a lot of misconceptions. Hey, come into the store. I'm sure you plus any of your staff are highly educated on being able to address any of those myths that people have.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks so much for being on our Friday Live. Happy Aloha Friday today. And
yes,
Sheen,
thank you.
Thank you both so much. Happy Aloha Friday.
All right.
Yeah, stay with
Aloha.
us as we do our fancy outro video.
All right.